Roger Stone here for Colonial Metals Group. Colonial Metals Group helps Americans protect their future with the most trusted store of wealth in human history. That's actual physical gold and silver. If you're retiring or you're retired, go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/stone right now for your free Roger Stone Colonial Metals Group Retirement Protection Kit, or call 800-747-6589. That's 800-747-6589. Call now to receive your free home safe and up to $7,500 in free silver.
I mean, interest rates seem to be going down, and the market was down a tremendous amount. Jobs were down. Larry Kudlow, you're the expert. You tell us what's going on.
Well, you're right. The S&P 500 had its worst week of this year, 2024, the worst week since 23. The NASDAQ tech-heavy index has had its worst week since 2022. And the Dow today was off 400. And the jobs report was very soggy and soft with more downward revisions. So here's a statistic for you. Private jobs after the downward revisions were up only 56,000. So that's nearing recession levels. But if you take out part of that, government-sponsored jobs, health and social services, which are really not private jobs. They're counted as private, but they're really government jobs. But if you take that out, you're only left with 12,000 increase in what I call real private jobs. And the manufacturing sector, which is in recession, manufacturing jobs fell by 24,000. So sometimes bad news is bad news. And that plus a poor ISM manufacturing report, mediocre ISM services report, a poor report on housing construction. You know, bad news is bad news. I still believe we're not in a recession yet, but we are in the front end of a recession.
Well, they keep changing the numbers on us. Like last week, they were off by 818,000 jobs. This week, there was adjustments again this week on something.
Yeah, no, you're right. The Bureau of Labor Statistics. Look, I'm not a conspiratorialist. It's not political. I know how the Bureau of Labor Statistics works. They come back and they canvass the states for unemployment insurance, and they have something called a birth-death model. That is, new businesses versus businesses that went bankrupt. But these are very flawed models. But these are larger than usual downward revisions. And I think if history is any guide, it's a recession signal. It's a recession signal. So that's the bad news. The good news is really, I don't know if Ed Cox is there with you today.
I am indeed.
He's listening.
Well, there's nobody better than Ed Cox. Ed and I were sitting on the dais for Mr. Trump's speech. John, you were there before the New York Economics Club. And really, it was an incredibly pro-growth, really aspirational speech, really calling for American renewal. And we had John Paulson on our show tonight on set, old friend. And John is a Trump advisor and a very brilliant money manager, investor. And it was so growthy. We played back his question to the President Trump about deficits, and Trump's answer was all about growth. Growthier. Growth wins. Tax cuts lose. Democrats don't ever talk about growth, and Democrats want to raise taxes. And when you look at these numbers, and let's face it, this has been a very soggy period anyway since 2020. Mr. Trump's emphasis on tax cuts and deregulation and energy reform. By the way, he made a strong showing the dollar must remain the world's reserve currency. That's terribly, terribly important. And he also talked about spending cuts, not usually his forte, but he did. And, of course, he said he might bring in Elon Musk for some sort of efficiency council and, you know, unspent funds should be completely rescinded. I mean, this was a very strong speech, and it's bridging to the debate on Tuesday. And I think Trump right now is in excellent shape. But my basic point here is growth. I'm a growth guy. I've been a growth guy my whole career, and he's talking growth, and we need growth, okay? That's the key.
And, well, I hope we get there. How do you see the debate going on Tuesday night? I mean, we're only a few days away from a debate, and we're a little bit more than 50 days away from the election.
You know, John, I thought, and some of my guests this week made this observation, particularly after Trump's New York Economics Club speech. He is a big picture guy, and he has great themes about growing the economy and energy and inflation, and, of course, the border. But he also has been demonstrating a tremendous mastery of details. I mean, you look at what he did at the New York Economics Club speech. He was digging deep. He was firing off all kinds of ideas and backup and details and numbers. And I think if he sticks with that, with Kamala Harris in that debate on Tuesday night, he's going to be a big winner. I mean, he's got to stick with the economy, inflation, and the border. They'll do other things, I'm sure, but he has a mastery of detail as a businessman and also as the former president. And I don't think she can deal with that. I mean, I don't think she can hold her own with that. And I don't, he's not going to lose his cool. Everyone talks about losing. He's not going to lose his cool. And by the way, they are going to turn the mics off, which is not all bad. And I think he's going to do very well. And I think the Economics Club speech yesterday is a bridge to this debate. It's a springboard to this debate.
Well, I guess the world, it's not just us. I think the world is focusing on November 5th and which way the world is going to go. And like I've said, and we've talked about over dinner, that the free world is dependent on the United States of America to keep it free.
John, you are so 100% right. You are so totally right. When the U.S. does it right, the rest of the world follows. But when the U.S. does it wrong, unfortunately, the rest of the world follows that too. You are so 100% right. This is like a global election for president is what this really is. And I think it's time for change. I really do. And I think Trump talked about renewing America and renewing America's place in the world. Can't come soon enough for me.
Well, thank you, Larry Kudlow. And I'll be listening tomorrow between 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock on the Kudlow Report on Saturday, on number one show on Saturday. And then followed by Steve Moore from 1 to 3. Thank you so much. And you have the best show in the solar system.
Thanks, John. We're working on the Milky Way.
Thank you so much.